Hello, and welcome to the C Show. Connor, I have an important question for you today.
What you got?
Did the WWE call the NBA Eastern Conference Finals? Now, if you're not familiar, the Eastern Conference Finals of the NBA this year are the New York Knickerbockers, known as the Knicks from the Washington Irving short story, and the Indiana Pacers, Pacers of indeterminate origin.
Wait, are you serious?
I don't know. What is it? What is it from? Oh, it's
Pace
from the
car.
Indy 500.
Yeah, Pace car.
Duh. Oh, okay. Last year, Tyrese Halliburton from the Pacers and Jalen Brunson of the Knicks faced off on Monday Night Raw. It even got to the point where I believe Tyrese Halliburton was in the ring. But did Triple H and the WWE creative team call the Eastern Conference Finals?
Maybe TKO has more reach than we think.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. But the things that I did want to include here on the top of the show relating to the NBA WWE crossover here, Tyrese Halliburton, it was announced last night on Monday Night Raw. He will be included in a WWE 2K25 DLC, some sort of extreme madness. I'm sure there'll be a couple other fun characters with that. The other thing I was looking into is Jalen Brunson's dad, Rick Brunson, played at Temple.
Go Owls.
Where he met Jalen's mother.
Go Owls.
Now, Jalen.
He went to that fake Philly school.
The House of No-Go. The House of No-Go. They think they got a pope. Now they're all, hot stuff. But still the House of No-Go to us. So.
The only other thing I want to add here is, I don't know about you. Mm-hmm. You don't really have a dog in the fight, neither do I. The Sixers didn't even make the playoffs, but I'm here for the Pacers. I want TJ McConnell, longtime Sixer, plenty of great memories from the process era and beyond that. So I hope Pacers win. They win the whole thing. Let's get TJ McConnell a ring.
I would love to see the chaos if the Knicks make the finals. They don't have to win.
They just got to get there.
They just got to get there.
Oh, and if that was unclear, these are essentially the semifinals.
Yes, the semifinals. So it's the Eastern Conference, and then the Western Conference is the Wolves and the Nuggets. Wolves in 5. Right?
I thought the Nuggets lost because Jokic was it's the Thunder, because Jokic was like, there will be a lot of beers over these next couple days after they lost Game 7. Pretty sure they got smoked in Game 7 too.
Yes, it is the Oklahoma City Thunder. The first game is tonight. 8:30 p.m. Of course, you're listening to this is probably already on Game 3. But again, Wolves in 5.
I'm with that. Yeah. No, I would definitely like to see the Wolves do the thing.
We would love to see the Wolves do the thing. And in the words of Timberwolves great, Kevin Garnett, anything is possible! Here on The C Show. All right, welcome back to the C Show. We're here. We're talking about SmackDown on May 16th. The show started off with Jacob Fatu in the middle of the ring with Solo Sikoa, and returning to the WWE, one Jeff Cobb, who is now being referred to as JC Mateo. Solo welcomes JC Mateo back to the WWE, talks about how... Am I missing something? You're looking at me like I'm missing something. I feel like it.
No. They come in. Solo starts saying that Roman was the one that ruined everything for them.
Right.
And now it's Solo's taking it upon himself to take it all back. That will start with winning his Money in the Bank qualifier and bring the title back to the family. And then he immediately jumps in and tries to do Jacob's all gas, no brakes. You know what I mean? And Jacob just cuts him off. He's like, absolutely not. And then we get all the Jacob classics.
Yes, absolutely. We get all of the Jacob classics. Solo and Fatu are beefing here, the cousins of the bloodline. And then comes in LA Knight. And as LA Knight comes in, they all have to work together now. LA Knight surprises us. He's not coming down the ramp. He's not coming from Gorilla. He's coming from over by the desk.
I think he might have been under the ring. I swear I see the apron get thrown up.
I'm sure.
One thing I'm going to go back to real quick is at the end of there where Solo and Jacob are, again, more butting heads, is where Solo's like, remember what you used to say all the time? Remember what you always used to say to me, Jacob? And going back to that, I love you, Solo, that we haven't forever. Right. And then, Jacob gives, he gives like, and I love you. So he's like, that's not really how you used to say it. And he like presses him to like do it in the old way.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when Knight comes down and tries to jump him.
Right. Well, after that encounter there, to start off the show, we fade over to Michin and BFAB. And they're talking about how Michin wants the Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, we're getting to this point in the calendar where we're talking about Money in the Bank. And now, if you're unfamiliar, Connor, can you give me a brief summary of what the Money in the Bank tournament and prize is?
So Money in the Bank now has its own pay-per-view.
Yes.
Before, it would just be a match on a pay-per-view. So the Money in the Bank ladder matches are that there will be a men's and women's, and there are 6 qualifiers for each. And it's a ladder match, right? The point of a ladder match is you climb it and you take down the belt, the contract, whatever it is. In this case, it's a briefcase with a contract for a title opportunity of the person who has it. It's their choice of which title.
The holder's choice. The contract holder's choice.
Yes, of any title, anytime, anywhere, like any situation.
Yes.
And it becomes this whole thing of cashing in, finding a time, right? People use it, someone's already been beaten, they're at a crazy title defense, they're already hurt. Some people have used it to set up like an actual like full match as their way to get their main event. People have lost it to other people, like having the contract change hands in a match before it's even used for a championship.
It's kind of like the get out of jail free card in Monopoly. It's kind of analogous to that.
Yeah, I'm with that. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, so yes,
well, like the way that people use the get out of jail free card, they trade it, they sell it, they negotiate using it. That's occasionally used like in the same way as Money in the Bank is. Like, hey, we're putting the Money in the Bank briefcase on the line here.
Okay, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I'm 100% with that. So, every year they do the Money in the Bank ladder match for the men and women, and then it's always the big thing of when will they cash in, right? Last year's winners, Damian Priest, used it at WrestleMania 40 after Drew McIntyre beat Seth and, gave Drew his 5-minute title reign. And then Tiffany Stratton won it last year for the women and used it to cash in on Nia.
Yeah, and Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, this has spurred off a year-long storyline for them, which has been playing out really well for the both of them, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. So, again, it's just a great storytelling device. It leaves a lot of other things up in the air, and they're almost always fantastic matches. Like, there's hardly ever a bad Money in the Bank match. Yeah,
we're going to talk about a few Money in the Bank matches here in a moment. The people who can compete for Money in the Bank are non-champions. It's sort of like Royal Rumble.
Oh, yes, I get what you're saying. Yeah, usually no title holders. Maybe someone who has, like, the U.S. title.
Or a tag team.
Or a tag title. Yeah, there's, like, the quote-unquote mid-card or minor titles. But no world champions will be in that match.
We don't have the 24/7 fresh title anymore.
Oh, that was so cool. I did love the 24/7 title. The 24/7 title, like it said, you, again, could be anywhere, anytime. Akin to the old hardcore title, which they used to have a lot of really good bits about people jumping each other in the parking lots or in airports to win the hardcore title back, because it was all like, as long as you had a ref, it could be anywhere. Like literally, like for the 24/7 title, like I forget who it was. Someone was asleep on the plane and they were and they like covered them on the plane and the ref was like, 1, 2, like whisperings. They didn't wait. Like they did so much funny stuff with titles like that. I wish they would bring it back. You know who the most title reigns of the 24/7 championship is?
It's The Miz, isn't it?
It's not.
Oh.
It is R-Truth.
Oh. There's just the famous image of The Miz with the 24/7.
Yeah, he won it as well, but the most, like, the person most synonymous with it, who had it the most, R-Truth.
R-Truth.
Because, again, it lends to so much, like, quote-unquote goofy or comedy wrestling, which is right up his alley.
Interesting. So this is the lead-in to a Money in the Bank triple threat qualifier. Michin and BFAB are preparing for this. Chelsea Green comes into the scene. She talks about how Chelsea herself is going to win it, and she's going to fix the economy using it, trickle down economics. It's incredible. Alexa Bliss spooks the Hervis and walks through. Nobody allowed ringside. The Hervis is forced to be backstage. Chelsea wants to tariff Mediocrity. So we now lead into that triple threat qualifier: Alexa Bliss versus Michin versus Chelsea Green. My move of the match here is the finisher, so I'll let you go first.
So this was just a a great match, and especially these qualifying matches, especially after the ones we saw on Raw. My wife and I were both just like, why are all these women's matches, especially the qualifying, the triple threat, just like so much better? There's so many great things here. Like the whole match starts with Michin just kicking Chelsea out of the ring, and she comes in and she kicks her out again. Michin and Alexa Bliss trade some pinning combinations, some roll throughs, right? And then they're like, what if we both go kick Chelsea off the ring apron? And then while they're outside the ring, they're actually both fighting about who's going to go back in the ring and beat up Chelsea. And then Chelsea hits the self-harm dive, I guess is where, as we're calling it now. I hate the picture-in-picture commercials. It is so hard for me to keep track of those. But so all I wrote for that was Chelsea beats on Bliss during the picture-in-picture commercial. My move of the match was Michin hits 2 huge German suplexes. Again, a German suplex is you're behind someone, you wrap your hands around their belly, and then throw them over your head. She does 2 of those, and then a wicked freaking power bomb on Chelsea that Alexa Bliss breaks up. One point, Michin's going to attack Chelsea. She just pokes her right in the eyes. And then we get towards the end here. Chelsea tries to go for an unprettier. That gets countered to an eat defeat by Michin, where she basically like puts her foot on your chin and then she falls on her back. So it's sort of a kick. And then we get towards your move of the match here.
Yeah, so Alexa Bliss gets a tornado DDT on Michin hitting the top of her head. Bliss basically standing up on the turnbuckle and then jumps down with a twisted frog splash, essentially. She's twisting in midair while doing that frog splash. And then the finish here is another DDT, specifically the Sister Abigail DDT for the finish, a pin to win for Alexa Bliss, who qualifies for Money in the Bank, the first of 6 to qualify for Money in the Bank.
I'm very interested to see, we know Charlotte has a match coming up here. We've seen this kind of backstage stuff with Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. And because they have history from before when they had they were doing a program and Charlotte destroyed the doll Alexa Bliss always used. She was just carrying like a doll as part of her bit. So I'm very interested to see how that's going to connect. I assume Charlotte's going to win hers, right? That's the thing with these triple threats. Usually like, well, all right, the big name's going to win it. Like, you know, like I could have told you Chelsea wasn't going to win. I mean, Michin wasn't going to win.
Unfortunately not.
Even though I wish. So I'm interested to see. I think they'll win, and they'll probably have some more storytelling within the actual Money in the Bank match.
Yeah, awesome. Moving on, we have Fraxium versus DIY. There's like a weird effect as Fraxium comes out. What I think they're trying to do is like mimic shooting at a lower frame rate. So it gets those like tails, and it kind of looks like it's like dragging, the image is dragging. Okay. I'm not a big fan of it. Ciampa's beard is growing back in well. I wanted to shout that out because he looks weird without it.
So weird.
I don't know if I've put it on wax yet, but I wanted to mention this once again. The TLC match should have been in Backlash instead of Pat versus Gunther.
Absolutely.
We talked about this on text, but we just needed to be put it on wax. My move of the match here is towards the middle of the match, Frazier gets the tag after Axiom has been struggling for a while. Frazier backflips out of a corner spot and then has this insane sequence which ends with a standing shooting star splash.
Oh, dude, the standing, moonsault or splash, depending which way they're facing, like, is always going to impress me. There's one later tonight that we'll talk about that's even more insane. My move of the match here is Frazier hits a superplex, and then there's a brainbuster super kick combo. He goes for the pin, and Ciampa breaks up the pin with this giant knee. Like he does the thing where he rolls his knee pad down earlier because he's going to hit the knee, and it sounded like a car crash. Like he knocked the hell out of him to break up that pin.
There were some hard knees and punches thrown over the weekend. The match ends after Ciampa tries to unmask Axiom while he has Gargano in a submission hold. Axiom is able to roll up for the pin as DIY attacks. Ciampa tries to take off Axiom's mask. Who comes out to the rescue? It's none other than the Motor City Machine Guns.
For the save, brother.
Sabin and Shelley take Ciampa out. Gargano eats a kick by Sabin, and Ciampa literally sucking on his thumb. Did you see that?
No, I missed that.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I don't know what he was doing, but he was like, he had kind of had his thumb in his mouth. He may have been chewing on a fingernail or something, but I thought it was really funny. Backstage, we have some quick asides. We've got Andrade and Rey Fenix. Phoenix wants the Money in the Bank. Solo and Fatu roll through looking for LA Knight. Phoenix and Andrade throw them off in Spanish, of course. Nia Jax, we get a preview of her tonight. She's going to be facing off against Tiffany. And then Street Profits meet up with Fraxium backstage. The Street Profits had met with Aldis. Fraxium will be getting a shot at the title at Saturday night's main event this Saturday.
I just need to call out that in the back, like Fraxium's talking, they're like, we're speed running this thing, which I just thought was very funny.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. Good for them. Fraxium says they're going to be at 100%, so will Street Profits. And then Wade Barrett intros a conversation he had with R-Truth. R-Truth, of course, will be fighting his childhood hero, John Cena. If you're not familiar and you're like wondering, like, what's going on here? R-Truth is older than John Cena.
He is.
And Big Jimmy is imaginary. That's the joke.
Little Jimmy.
Little Jimmy. Yes, Little Jimmy is imaginary. That's the joke, Charlie.
So it's basically like, you know, Wade being like, what's going on between you two, right? There's kind of this constant pressure. And R-Truth's like, well, you can always depend on John Cena. And then he like hits all the bits, like his hustle, loyalty, respect, right? And gives us each of them. And
they're not just words, a beacon of life.
He's like, Wade is like, well, you kept him from getting punted, and then he put you through a table. And R-Truth goes, the man at that press conference is not John Cena. And if I have to, I will beat it out of him. You
don't know John Cena like I know John Cena. He wouldn't turn his back on the people that support him. Then we cut to a pre-tape of Damian Priest. The best part of this was Damian's Bronx accent coming out. I'm pissed off.
Did you see he just got a street named after him?
Yes. Congratulations, Luis. That's a huge deal for him. He was also at Yankee Stadium for a Yankees game.
Gross.
Boo. But, we're happy that he's happy. Damian lays it out. You're going to need a conclusion, Drew. I want you to feel real pain. The hospital will need dental records to identify you. Not like it's on the back of your pants.
He's beating up the pants, too.
Yeah, and they have the whole thing on record. Like, they put the whole thing on film. But, like, that's, yeah, okay.
Different.
Moving on.
That'll be a steel cage match. I don't know if you said that, but that'll be a steel cage match.
Yes, and we will preview that at the end of the show here. Moving on, we have a rematch of last week's fight between Aleister Black and Carmelo Hayes.
Ooh, we do get a little bit of a pre-tape from Mello.
Yes.
Where he says, talking about Aleister Black, saying your name makes me sick.
Mm-hmm.
You could have taken my head off and didn't. Mm-hmm. I know that you're weak, right? Like, this is my opening. A month ago was your grand opening. This will be your grand closing.
Fantastic turn of phrase there, Carmelo. The Miz is now hosting a new version of American Gladiators. This is really interesting because Chelsea Green was asked about, like, does she want to be Charlotte Flair? Like, who does she look up to in the WWE? And she cited The Miz as a career goal, talking about him having a happy family, a reality show, being a Grand Slam champion. The Miz has done very well for himself in the company.
Yeah, it's not easy to stick around, especially in a company like this for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right, he is one of, if not the longest tenured right now as far as, like, still strictly performing.
Yeah. Of course, my man of the match here is at the end. So, what do you have for us?
Oh, your man of the match? Okay.
Oh, excuse me.
My move of the match is Black hits a huge Meteora, the double knees to the face, and then he does a German suplex with a bridge pin. So does the German suplex, but instead of letting go, he basically gets up on his toes and is holding Carmelo in a pin. He only gets a 2 there, but again, I thought that was very technically sound. It was a very smooth move. Again, to have the strength to get someone over and then press yourself up to get them down is a lot.
Of course, at the end of this match, after The Miz micromanages Mello, The Miz decides to interrupt this match and enter the ring. My move of the match is Aleister Black laying out The Miz with a black mass. It connects. Seriously, The Miz sells the hell out of it. He turns around. He's got the stars and clovers in his eyes, and then he just falls to the ground. It's fantastic. This match is over, but as Joe Test mentions, no one really wins.
And at the end, Mello comes back in here. and gets Aleister Black back, ends up hitting him with his nothing but net, his basically like top rope leg drop onto the back of Aleister Black's head. We then jump backstage. Alexa Bliss is with Byron Saxton, asking him, how's it feel to qualify? She says, can't wait to be the first one to win the Money in the Bank twice. Mm-hmm. And then she quickly walks off with Charlotte Flair as she kind of passes by, saying, Charlotte, before you took me under your wing. Charlotte's like, I don't remember that.
As this happens, Julia walks out of Aldis's office, and Aldis introduces her as the newest member of the SmackDown roster. Charlotte warns Alexa to stay out of the way. And then Drew McIntyre is also backstage walking towards the ring.
Did you hear the last thing that Flair said to Bliss?
No, please, tell me.
She said, I don't need you.
Yes, yes.
So again, there's more building there, right? Like, where is this going to go as we approach Money in the Bank here?
As I said earlier, Drew McIntyre comes stumbling out into the ring. He says, the only thing that's true is the amount of violence. My vortex is the only reason why anyone cares about you. I was genuinely concerned that you wanted to wear my skin to your birthday party.
I think you would kill me, right? You slam my head into the concrete. I'll believe you'll do it. I'll see you inside that cage. And then he tries to deliver this last line and has like a little flub in the beginning. And you can just see how mad he gets as he kind of resets himself. The line ends up being, only one man will walk out of that cage. The other will need a stretcher.
All right. Well, we'll see how that goes on Saturday night. We now have another triple threat qualifier match. We've got Jimmy Uso versus Rey Fenix versus Solo Sikoa. Again, Big Us ready for a big win. We've got Jimmy Uso versus Solo Sikoa. Jimmy and Jay, of course, are the older twin brothers to Solo. So this is a fun brotherly brawl for Solo. Solo comes out with Jacob Fatu and JC Mateo, of course. And we've got Big Charles Robinson in between the ropes.
I'm going to jump right to my move of the match. Again, so many good things here, but again, not trying to make it a 4-hour show. So Solo goes for a Samoan spike on Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix then jumps on his shoulders to try and make a crucifix pin, but Solo's strong enough to stay standing. So Jimmy then gives a super kick to Solo that lets Rey roll through on the crucifix pin, and then Jimmy breaks that up.
My move of the match here, I put it in the document as Phoenix jumps from the top turnbuckle and a drop kick right to the face of Big Jim. The other one that I have in my document here is a Phoenix crossbody from the top turnbuckle. Has to be at least 25 feet off of the ground at the apex of that arc as he comes down, smacks everybody on the ground.
And it was a touch of a rough night for our boy Charles Robinson. There's a point here where he is, distracted and misses a pin. There's a lot of discussion online. Was that on purpose? Was that a true botch by him? He actually sent out a tweet apologizing after the fact.
Oh no.
Being like, people still make mistakes, even 25 years in or however long, we're always learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but obviously, it didn't ruin anything. They still got to the finish of the match later, which had a different result. So, obviously, it wasn't an end-all, be-all if it was a true mistake and not a scripted one. But I just thought it was interesting. Again, what level of it is they planned it? What level is it? Oh, it's a screw up. This is live TV. Yeah. But we can still play it who knows what would have happened?
Exactly. And I think we have a little bit more of that later with the Zoe Starks, Kairi Sane, and Rhea Ripley match. But we'll get to that in a minute if you haven't heard about it already. The match ends with shenanigans, of course. Solo spikes Phoenix and pins him for the win. Phoenix does a full spin in that process, but at the end, LA Knight attacks everyone and grabs a chair. Nick Aldis comes out to the rescue. We settle our disputes in the squared circle. He just says, "Okay, LA Knight, JC Mateo, right now."
When LA Knight came out with that chair, he then jumped up on the announce table and almost immediately fell. I don't know if you saw that. I wasn't sure if he was trying to kick off the little top part they have at first or not, or just step on it, and then he almost fell. Looked like he got really mad and then kicked the top part of the announce table off.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. My move of the match here I've got two, honestly. It's the standing moonsault from JC Mateo or the Tour of Islands. You sent me this post in our DMs on Instagram, and the Tour of Islands is this incredible move where JC has somebody perpendicular to him on his chest, and then he spins and slams them onto the mat. And it's just incredibly, and when it's executed perfectly, it's insane. Not only because JC Mateo is a big guy, but it's also this incredibly athletic move that just like in the blink of an eye, it's over.
My move of the match here was there's Knight goes for a blunt force trauma. Mm-hmm. JC counters into what I'm going to call a yo-yo slam. Like, it kind of looked like his Tour of the Islands was a little different. He kind of picked him up, like almost swinging him sideways. He like swung LA Knight around the front of him.
Yeah.
But then swung him around back and slammed him. And then that's when he hits that standing moonsault. Again, someone as big as JC Mateo to hit a standing moonsault is absurd. Mm-hmm. The finish of this, so Knight launches himself over the top rope for a crossbody. That's where JC catches him and hits his Tour of the Islands, which is a spinning scoop slam. Okay. Which is similar to, sort of similar to that yo-yo one I was talking about, but definitely a little cleaner, a little more force to it. And I swore I thought they said Tour of Violence, and I'm like, that's such a sick name. Like, I thought it was the Tour of Violence. I'm like, that's a great name.
Yeah,
for a
Tour
move.
of Islands, Tour of the Islands.
But then, like, because I think he said it wrong, because even they made a point for, I believe it was I don't remember who it was who went back is like, oh, like you said, the Tour of the Island, like really enunciated it. Yeah. So they probably got that from the back. That was a little jumbled. Give it to us again. Because that was, his first time using it on a show. They want to start making sure to getting it over, right? People know what it is.
Gotcha. Before our final match of the night, we have a few backstage segments. We've got Santos, Escobar, and Angel backstage.
Where's Berto?
Where is Berto? Bring Berto back home. Let's reunite. We also have the return of Shinsuke Nakamura. I was wondering, I was like literally thinking, I was like, when's Shinsuke Nakamura going to come back? He calls out LA Knight. He calls out Aleister Black. He says that he is sharpening his katana. He is an unstoppable storm, an unstoppable blade, an unstoppable being.
He says to LA Knight, I see behind the chant just a hunger for recognition. And he says to Aleister Black, I do not fear you because I know you fear the darkness.
Truly, that's some Bruce Wayne stuff. We get a preview of next week on SmackDown. Aleister Black versus LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura for Money in the Bank. I keep wanting to say either Men in Blazers or Men in Black. We also have Zelina Vega versus Julia versus Charlotte Flair next week. And then we have the Tag Team Championship Street Profits versus Fraxium. Tiffany, backstage, she runs into Jade Cargill. Jade's going to take the briefcase, and then she's going to take the title. Naomi, did you see Naomi in the back?
No, I missed that.
Oh my gosh.
What, was she like peeking, just like...
I will say one of the greatest strengths of David Gordon Green's 2018 Halloween reboot, legacy sequel, whatever, is the way how he uses every inch of the frame to bring Michael Myers in and then create this incredible sense of tension of just like, Michael's there. What's going to happen here? Yeah. Whether that's him popping up really quickly or even him off in the distance. And they do a little bit more with this with Heyman on Monday night, which I liked. But I just felt like it was really incredible. She's just standing there in the same position, and she's really nailing this.
Yeah, I love this run from her. Like again, I feel like broke record saying it every week. Mm-hmm. I'm glad she's still in the picture and she is still getting to be a part of all this.
But it's just this like great segment that leads into the Tiffany versus Nia Jax match for the Women's World Championship. And of course, Tiffany leaves us with a toodles.
Because it's time for her to defend her title against Nia Jax.
And who trained Tiffany Stratton?
Oh, would that be a Gagne, maybe?
It would be a member of the Gagne family, Greg Gagne. This is a reminder that if you haven't already, check out The Twin Tragedies of Vern Gagne. It is available in this podcast feed. we had a lot of fun making it, and I'm very proud of it, honestly.
Yeah, we did. I know you don't want me to do this. I'm going to give you your flowers for a minute because that was fantastic. Charlie goes and gathers everything. I kind of more just add perspective from different wrestling things and other things I know. And it was really cool to sit and hear about a narrative I didn't really know. Like quote unquote, I'm the expert. I say that as my eyes roll in the back of my head, right, on this. So again, to learn about more stuff I didn't know and to be able to make connections, some things I did, like I had a really good time, and I'm very excited for the other ones that we've talked about, some that you've put out as we talked about this one, and even other ones I want to talk about down the line.
Yeah, definitely. So again, Twin Tragedies of Vern Gagne available now in this podcast feed. But yes, we're leading into Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax for the Women's World Championship. Listen, Mark Nash does his intros with 12 minutes left in the broadcast. I'm thinking no way in hell we're going to get a full match here. But by God, this is PLE level quality in 12 minutes. And I'm thinking like the entire time, like, oh, there's going to be shenanigans. And like there's going to be shenanigans. There's going to be a disqualification, no contest, right? That's how they're going to end this show. Yes, we do get the Jade Naomi sort of like side thing going on. And it brings in the chair, which adds a new element to the ending of the match. But let's talk about our moves of the match here before we get into the end here. Coming back from the break, Nia throws Tiff into Timekeeper, but Tiffany turns it around with a Hurricane Rana and throws Nia into the post.
Nia, a lot of overpowering here, right, early on, and then even here again hits a pop-up Samoan drop, throwing her up onto her shoulders, falling back on her, hits a big senton for a 2. Tiffy comes back and hits a spine buster, which was awesome to get Nia up like that. Tiffy tries to do her cartwheel Alabama slam, but Nia makes it into 2 crazy power bombs and a leg drop. And then Nia tries to go up for an avalanche like power slam.
Yeah,
but Tiffy actually gets her to like over rotate and basically drops Nia on her head from the ropes there. There was also a point there where Tiffy finally got the chance and hit the prettiest moonsault ever. And Nia kicked out.
I was incredulous.
They said on commentary that was the first time that anyone NXT WWE has ever kicked out of the prettiest moonsault ever. Like, she has been protecting that move since she started. So I think that's interesting that they chose now to do it. Again, it was awesome for the story. It gave it, again, like I'll say it, like I bid, like this thing my wife and I say, oh, I bid. I thought that was actually the end. I thought it was over.
Look at how everything is in all caps.
Yeah, it is one of those.
I'm biting and I'm chewing. I'm like Poe on a bully stick, man.
So, as you mentioned earlier, Naomi comes out with a chair. We're like, oh man, this is gonna, end in some disqualification and no contest, whatever, right? But Jade comes out. Yep. On the ramp behind her. Naomi misses Jade with the chair big style, like misses so bad.
Yeah.
And then catches a huge super kick, and then they start fighting through the crowd.
Yes. And they basically just disappear into the crowd. The match hasn't been called at this point. Again, Nia kicks out of another prettiest moonsault ever. Nia, outside of the ring, Nia clears the announcer desk. At this point, I'm like, where's Jade? Where's Jade? Where's Jade? There's no regard for the Prime Bottle. The Prime Bottle is tossed aside. Nia does a Samoan drop onto the desk.
Which doesn't break, those good reinforced ones.
Oh, yeah, the new reinforced desks. Nia goes up. Tiffany grabs her. Nia goes down. She nearly gets the 3 count, but Tiffany grabs the rope. I'm just going, OMG, OMG, OMG. Where are Jade and Naomi? Nia takes the title, walks away. She gets a chair. She gets the chair. Tiff drop kicks the chair. Tiff goes up for the prettiest moonsault ever. Get it, get it, get it. Yeah. It's still Tiffy time, folks.
Yeah, pin to win for Tiffy off the prettiest moonsault ever after drop kicking the chair into Nia's face. So no, we didn't get a disqualification. Yes, we got some shenanigans. That's a way for them to be able to be like, well, Nia can go and be like, well, she cheated. We gotta do it again.
And I'm ready for it. Sign me up.
I'm thinking, as you say, to put it down on wax, I'm thinking we're going to end up getting a 4-way for that title. I think Naomi, Jade, Nia, and Tiffy are just all too close to it. I think we're going to get at SummerSlam. I think we're going to get a fatal 4-way.
That sounds great to me. No complaints. Yes, book it, book it, book it, book it. the last hour of the show is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Money in the Bank triple threat. Then we've got the LA Knight versus JC Mateo. Just like a couple of quick good promos, and then 12 minutes of just fantastic wall-to-wall action. If you can squeeze this down to the 2-hour slot this summer, they're going to be cooking with gas.
Yeah, it's supposed to be happening in the next 2 weeks. I think they said first week of June, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll still be here on The C Show.
Okay, no, I can hear that. Oh, we also didn't introduce ourselves. There was something. Introduce in part 2. If you've made it this far, now you've unlocked new characters.
Yes, if you've made it this far, you have unlocked new characters. I'm Connor.
And I'm Charlie.
There we go. Perfect.
Really him up big style.
That's not confusing at all. No, I'm Charlie.
And I'm Connor.
Okay, good. Okay, we introduced ourselves. The second part of our show here, we're talking about Raw. Now, as you can tell by the disappointment in my voice, we start off with a Logan Paul town hall.
So I wrote, I heard he was opening the show, so I planned to come 20 minutes late.
I think, okay, let me hit the highlights here. The best part is when the crowd starts yeeting at him. They start chanting, yeet, 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 and he goes, 4 letters, 1 word, all y'all have 2 brain cells, just like all of your fans, Logan. Logan keeps providing facts, except most of these are opinions. And then Gunther comes out. Thank goodness, some order here.
So when he came out, I wrote, I am in the arena. I've heard Gunther's song, but I'm still going to check how long the merch line is before I go to my seat. Even he couldn't save it for me.
Gunther does get the "you tapped out" chance. Gunther says confidence is what drives us in life. Fake it till you make it, baby. That's this podcast. People should show you more respect. That's a good joke, Gunther. Gunther, you're just pouring kerosene on this fire. Yeah. So Logan says Gunther, the ring general, knows business. He's basically in the low gang. Gunther says, ask Pat how I deal with being disrespected by non-wrestlers. Pat at least showed some heart. When I look at you, I don't see no heart. Gunther says, I will eat you alive in Phoenix on June 9th. Because if you're in Phoenix on June 9th, you are probably cooked medium rare. Because Phoenix is really hot.
Oh, okay. They wouldn't be well done then? Because it's really hot?
Sorry. I should have said well done. But
We'll fix it in post.
Jay comes into the ring. He calls a yeet behind Logan and then super kicks Logan to the mat. There we go. Finally. Some sensibility here. Jay takes the mic. He says, I'm going to see you on Saturday. Gunther, I'm going to see you in Phoenix. 4 letters, 1 word. Yeet.
I asked Lid. Usually they always just say oh, I'll see you next week on Raw, or I'll see you. Do you think Phoenix tourism is
yes.
Hey, we need you to drop Phoenix 19 times in this? Okay.
Do you remember the Las Vegas Tourism Board had a 30-second promo during WrestleMania? I think on night 2, Cole did a 30-second spot for Las Vegas Tourism, which if you're working on the Las Vegas Tourism Board, you need what? How do you
need anything else?
Yeah, buddy. I mean, there's no open container laws. A lot of things are legal. You can get almost anything you want. But yeah, no, I definitely think that Phoenix is hey, part of the contract. Will because they start to do more of these takeovers where hey, we're gonna do Raw and we're gonna do SmackDown and then we're gonna do the PLE in 3 different arenas or 2 different arenas in some cases, like they did for WrestleMania. To bring it back to that, for Vegas, they do nights 1 and 2 at Allegiant, which is where the Raiders play, and then they do Raw and SmackDown in the hockey arena where the Golden Knights play, the T-Mobile Arena. So it makes sense because, again, they're doing the bigger things at the bigger arena where they're going to be able to fit 60 to 75,000 people in.
If they sell all those tickets.
And then again for the smaller shows, if they sell out a 10,000 seat arena, that's going to kill on TV.
Yeah, that's still a huge win.
So
we jump backstage and we see Jay and Paul Heyman. Paul,
but you're not going to talk about the Papa John's highlight of the night? Last week's main event on Raw? Roxanne Perez taking out Julia and then Rhea headbutting and covering the win?
That's great. Look, unless they're saying shakaroni, I'm out.
Shakaroni.
So Paul Heyman says, let me give you some facts. It's not betrayal if the other person does something. I thought he said untorn?
Untoward.
Untoward. That makes
Untoward.
way more sense to you. It's like, fact, tonight you will fight Braun Breaker. Fact, he doesn't care about your title. Fact, no matter who has that title, it's all the short term.
When you say fact really loudly, that you're peeking on the T. It's not a big deal.
Fact. I am peeking on the T.
Yeah, so Paul negotiated for this. Braun doesn't want the title. He just wants to slow down your momentum. Whether it's you, Logan, Gunther, you're just short-term plans. The long-term plan is Seth freaking Rollins. And then there's a great little ad-lib at the end where he just goes, avoid the coffee.
Yeah,
and this is
so
a
funny.
10 out of 10 segment from Paul Heyman. Heyman kills it throughout the night. Leading up into that, we now have Penta and AJ Styles versus Judgment Day, Finn and JD McDonough. We get Penta coming in with a Cero Miedo and Eddie Arango in the middle. Unlike Juan Soto, according to Pat McAfee, these boys show up every night. In the next 10 years, Juan Soto will have been on every MLB team.
There's a chance.
There's probably a chance. Because, right, like, you get traded in the offseason, and then before the trade deadline.
Yeah, push to the deadline.
Exactly.
And then trade deadline.
So, I don't know, man. Is this a hot dog match for you? This was pretty good, honestly.
No, absolutely. No, Penta's in it. I'm not getting a hot dog when Penta's
okay,
wrestling.
Good. That's what I thought. My move of the match here is AJ has Finn in a calf crusher, and JD setting up for a frog splash to break it up. But AJ rolls Finn over, so JD just lands on him.
That was so awesome. My move of the match is I always got called out the tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. I know I talk about it every week, but Penta did 2 of those. Again, basically like moves the guy around his body. I always say pizza style, and then hits a double dive to the outside. My real move of the match was AJ Styles does a moonsault from the apron to, I believe it was JD on the outside, but instead of hitting the full moonsault, he makes it a reverse DDT and basically like wraps his hand over top of him and drops the back of his head on the ground. That was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, AJ really showed off last night. The one thing, the one AJ move that the Penta move that I was blown away by was JD was in a headstand in one of the corners, and then Penta just super kicks him. The finale for this match, of course, is some shenanigans. We get El Grande Americano at the barricade. He headbutts Penta with the loaded mask. We're still doing this. Finn Balor takes advantage. He does the coup de grace from the top rope. Pin to win. They're really trying to carry this El Grande Americano thing.
They're trying to do that. They're definitely trying to set up JD and Finn to kind of get back into the title picture. And we'll talk a little bit more about Judgment Day and some other changes there later.
Yeah. Backstage, we've got Kathy Kelly and Io Sky.
Hold on. Sorry. All right. I need to stop here. We need to start the segment with an apology.
Okay.
I don't think there has been a single week on the podcast that we haven't mentioned Io Sky. And I realized that at least for the past 2 weeks, we have not mentioned that we are the number 1 Io Sky podcast.
Okay.
So just a reminder, we are the number 1 Io Sky podcast. All respect to Io. We still are and will always be. Even if we don't say it, even if we forget, this is an Io Sky podcast first.
I will put out a notes app apology with this episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, you're absolutely welcome.
I need to hold us accountable. We're not here to make a podcast. We're here to get better.
Of course, Io doesn't even get a chance to speak. Becky interrupts this promo. Becky claims that Io hasn't defeated her. Becky says she has no problem in putting down one champ. She will do it again. And then we get this awesome camera move where the camera follows Becky from behind Gorilla through Gorilla. Again, that space between between the locker room backstage, where production staff is, where Triple H is watching the monitors, to the entrance in front of the Jumbotron there. So it's called a one shot or a oneer. One of like famous ones, of course, are like the season 1, episode 4 of True Detective. The last 11 minutes of the episode are this incredible this Rust and Marty attack these drug dealers, and then the drug dealers also get attacked by like rival drug dealers, and then there's this incredible movement where they go up and over like a 7-foot tall barbed wire fence. Yeah. And they're doing it steady cam too. So there's a guy with a camera and he just goes, they had to put like steps over it probably, or they have a guy handing it over. But again, this incredible one shot where they're just following Becky down through Gorilla all the way down the ramp. You get this like incredible transition. I was just blown away from it from a production standpoint.
That was the whole bit with like Dunkirk, right? Or one of those war movies,
1917.
Right? That one, okay.
Yes, 1917 is like allegedly 6 or 7 one-shots stitched together.
Oh, wow.
And then the studio is the Apple TV show starring Seth Rogen and Ike Barinholtz. From what I've read about that, again, that's something I'm waiting to like binge until it's all out. From what I understand, what I've been reading about that, they hide a lot of edits behind like whip pans and stuff. You can do it if you're smart. When it's done poorly, it's very obvious.
So, like you said, they follow Becky out, and then we get a quick commercial. When we come back, Logan, Paul, and Seth are in the back. Seth, it's like, oh, you got a big match Saturday. Well, Jey Uso has a match tonight, and he's going to get hurt. Come Saturday, Jey won't be 100%. If you get past Jey Uso, and then you get past Gunther, I will be waiting on the other side for you.
You will know who to thank if you have that title on your shoulder. Maybe we run it back from WrestleMania. This time with a championship on the line. Did you see the New Day and Grayson Waller in the back?
I wanted to make sure I mentioned that because you talked about Naomi earlier that I missed. I did see that. I was
like, ooh, what's going on there? Interesting.
Yeah, I thought it might come to fruition tonight, but they're building it. They're stocking it.
I have something for you. That I saw that you didn't see.
Okay, I love it.
And then we cut to Money in the Bank, Roxanne Perez versus Natalya versus Becky Lynch. There wasn't like anything like, there weren't any set pieces, any sets where I was like, wow, that's my move of the match. That's my move of the match. It was just all very high level technical wrestling. Just like 3 incredible women going at each other, 3 different levels too. Like Natalya is, she's a member of the Hart family. And then Roxanne is the prodigy, right? Like a very young wrestler. And then Becky Lynch being a legend, walking, talking, or a living legend. So to have like these arguably 2 living legends, and then argue the prodigy as her nickname,
next big thing.
The next big thing. It's really interesting what they do here.
And not only was it very technically sound, again, they did a lot of good storytelling. It literally starts with Becky going to Roxanne and be like, hey, let's both beat the hell out of Natalya. And then as soon as Roxanne goes, okay, Becky just immediately jumps her. It ends up with Becky and Roxanne doing a lot of really great chain wrestling. So chain wrestling is when they get into those sequences where they just do a lot of moves in a row. So for them, it was a lot of covers, roll throughs. Becky got into a disarmer. Roxanne rolled her through into kind of like a crossface armbar. Yeah. Right.
Or trying to set up for a sharpshooter.
Exactly. There was just a lot of really great like rapid transitions. Again, what they call chain wrestling through there.
And again, as I mentioned, that was my move of the match once Natalya was able to pull off that double sharpshooter.
Oh, my God.
I was hoping she was going to be able to do it with Roxanne and Becky stacked, but doing it side by side, still really cool.
Yeah, they teased it the first time with it stacked, and then they broke out.
I just don't think she could get the grip on it, unfortunately. I don't think they could get it to, just work.
Yeah, I just don't think there's too much surface area there for her to be able to step through and roll them. My move of the match was Roxanne hit I wrote a very small Hurricane Rana because Becky was already doing something, was like on her knees, and then Roxanne bounced off the ropes and hit like a very short, very small Hurricane Rana that just like made me laugh. Was also like, that's so much harder because so much of the Hurricane Rana is like you throwing yourself through to like get the force to get the person to flip. Yeah. So to do that so close to the ground already, I thought was absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. This match ends after Natalya gets a sharpshooter on Roxanne. Roxanne is not tapping out. Becky breaks it up. Natalya rolls up Becky, who kicks out of the cover. Again, that double sharpshooter, a double tap out. That's what I was hoping for, at least. Becky grabs the rope. Roxanne turns it around. Natalya puts her back into the sharpshooter. A manhandle slam by Lyra, manhandle slam, and then Lyra pulls out Becky to beat her down. In this moment, Roxanne with the Pop Rock suplex to cover Natalya for the pin and win.
I'm going to double back just for one other move
Please.
that I really loved, really too, because that's who I am. So Roxanne was like a double Pop Rocks.
Mm-hmm.
So like she was up on the ropes, and then Becky was close to her, and Natalya was the farthest. Roxanne jumps off the ropes to do a Pop Rock, so she basically hits the Pop Rocks on Natalya, who then German suplexes Becky, and they all go through. That was similar to another spot they did later. So there's this thing called the Tower of Doom, right?
Yes.
The spot that I think we've mentioned it before.
Yeah.
So it's two people on the top rope. One's about to do a superplex, and normally someone comes up, power bombs the one that makes them do. So it's like, oh, Tower of Doom, and I was like, oh no, not a Tower of Doom. It ends up that Natalya picks up Becky, then uses Becky to run into Roxanne on the top rope.
Yeah.
And then hits I wrote a cheers power bomb, and then goes back to do the suplex on Roxanne into another sharpshooter. Again, just so many things. Again, I wish we were people just give us money and we can just watch and talk about every single frame and every single match, and like I would love to just be able to fully do full watch long. I know what. Oh my god! Even just anything. Give us anything, so I can be like, nope, this is totally worth it. Besides just for my own love of it.
Absolutely. After this match, Becky and Lyra are still going at it. I think this is a great storyline for the two of them. I think there's a lot to do with it, for both of them, their characters to develop. Backstage, we've got Jey Uso in the locker room. Sami Zayn comes in and pledges his allegiance to Jey Uso. When you fight Braun Breaker tonight and it becomes a numbers game, I'm there for you. Did you see this throwback of 2012 with John Cena and Michael Cole?
Yeah, I did.
I know that Cole is in on it. Bro, not my pants. Let me keep my pants on, man. Let me keep my pants on.
He probably still liked that better when they made him wrestle in the singlet at WrestleMania.
And I think the worst part was Pat with the telestrator being like, oh, look at your tattoo. And then highlighting his crotch and being like, look at this area. And it's like, I would be going to HR the next day and being like, no, thank you. Can we get Gunther again?
I'm sure Pat's got a way around it.
Yes. And then in Pierce's office, Pierce, of course, in his poor management style, is unable to handle everything. But starting off with Tozawa, Tozawa is medically cleared for the match against Rusev next week. Chad Gable walks in with Ivy Nile. Tozawa hilariously pump fakes Chad, who flinches. Chad wants spots in Money in the Bank qualification matches.
What about me?
For him and Ivy. And fortunately, the New Day interrupt. No one wants the War Raiders to win. Adam Pearce's office smells like a midlife crisis. We have Sheamus versus Grayson Waller. I don't know if you heard this, but the crowd started chanting, Waller sucks.
No, I missed that.
Gatorade. But my move of the match is Sheamus doing the Dublin smile to Waller. And it's when he puts his fingers, which is kind of gross, into Waller's mouth and stretches them horizontally. And,
the long way, if you will.
The long way, if you will. That episode, Playing Hooky, SpongeBob? Where
yes.
It looks...
Patrick's got him all.
How
could this be dangerous? My move of the match is, I thought Grayson Waller was leaving. I thought he was doing one of those F this, I'm out of here. But he runs up the ramp to come do his rolling flatliner. So literally he runs down the ramp, jumps between the bottom and the second rope, basically jumps up and gets Sheamus almost in a rock bottom position again, kind of arm hooked under his. But then Waller falls back onto his back, pulling Sheamus onto his face. Again, it was something unexpected for me. And apparently it's something he does a lot. I've not seen a lot of him wrestle, but apparently that's just in his bag.
I think I've seen him do that a couple of times. It's not great. I'm not a huge fan of it. Another move that I really liked was Grayson Waller jumping down from the top turnbuckle and then just like running into Sheamus's knee. I could hear that. Didn't sound so good. Waller looked like he was in pain. The finale of this match is after Grayson Waller tries to do the 10 beats, the 10 beats of, is it of a place or just 10 beats?
I can never tell if they're saying 10 beats of the drum or 10 beats of Dublin.
Oh, 10 beats of the drum makes a lot of sense. So it's 10 beats of the drum. Waller tries to pull this off on Sheamus. Sheamus, of course, counters. Once Sheamus is able to get Waller into the position for the 10 beats of the drum, he delivers it. Theory turns away, just like Waller did last week. Waller laying on his stomach. Sheamus rolls him up for the cover and the win.
After the bro kick.
After the bro
kick. I was going to say, don't forget that big bro kick.
Oh, gosh. So then we now have Kathy Kelly and Gunther. Seth doesn't even let Gunther answer Kathy. How rude. Seth recognizes Gunther's reign as title holder, and Gunther reminds him that, Seth, you are a short-sighted visionary. I am the future around here. Seth came here out of professional courtesy. You will be treated no different. You will make yourself a target. Well, Seth, please, I cannot wait. I am eagerly awaiting. Now, we have the Kairi Sane versus Rhea Ripley versus Zoe Starks match for Money in the Bank qualifier. I keep stumbling over that. Just before, let's clear the air. Zoe Starks hurt her knee. I don't really want to talk about it. I saw it before I saw it happen live, and then I watched it in the show. And the entire time I was watching it in the show, leading up to it, I was like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And then it happens, and you look away. And listen, we just hope that Zoe, you get better soon. We want to see you back. She was doing so well up until that moment. I was so excited. There were just a couple of moments right there at the top here. There's like the giant drop kick from Zoe. Rhea clotheslines Zoe Stark and then brushes the dust off her shoulders. There's this moment where Mommy and Zoe Starks go back and forth, and then Kairi comes back in. And then we're just going to skip forward here.
Well, hold on, I just want to say my piece on that. Again, hope that you get better soon. Again, it's just a reminder that even if you don't like someone, as a wrestler, you don't like their character, right? You never hope anyone gets hurt.
Exactly.
And that's the same thing that goes through in sports. You can be the most diehard fan. You can hate your rivals, right? Mm-hmm. You never hope that anyone gets hurt. Anyone that I've ever hoped that has got hurt and I've laughed about is all because of extracurricular stuff outside the field that I hope they lose both their legs in a fire.
Yeah, I think
don't look in the Browns quarterback room.
Oh gosh, yeah, the Browns quarterback room. Or my mom was helping me out with some resume stuff recently, and she was like, "Listen, you have to choose between Chicago or AP style," and I was like the Vikings in 2014. I'm sticking with AP. I was spanked. It's okay, kind of, not really. Moving on.
Also like AP.
So the match resets. It's just Kairi Sane versus Rhea Ripley. And Rhea gets a cover opportunity early. And Mommy does get punched in the torso as she's readjusting there. My move of the match here is Kairi Sane setting up on the top turnbuckle for an incredible elbow drop, but Rhea counters and Kairi just holding her elbow in pain.
Yeah, there were multiple times that where Kairi Sane was going to do a move and Rhea just had wonderful counters to it. There's a time where basically caught her with a drop kick as she was coming off the top rope. There was another time where Kairi going for the insane elbow again. Rhea just gets both her feet up.
Yeah.
And again, I'm glad to see Kairi Sane back. It's been a minute since she's been gone. I hope that means Asuka is soon back on the horizon. Let's get Damage Control back as much as we can. Again, Bayley being gone on SmackDown now, right? The release of Dakota Kai, but I would still like to see Damage Control kind of come back here and really become a stable again.
I think with EO, especially as as a champion right now. I think there's definitely an opportunity for her to bring the gang back together. And Kairi Sane coming back from a hand injury. She's just been medically cleared to return back to the ring. So glad to see that. But again, Zoe Stark, we hope you feel better soon. We'd love to see you back in the ring as soon as possible.
And so as we come to the end of the match here, again, they end up like trading punches on their knees, a slugfest. Rhea ends up hitting a headbutt, and then the Riptide for the win. Rhea will now be in the Money in the Bank.
Yeah, and in that sequence, she dodged a couple of punches from Kairi Sane and then hits the headbutt. Mm-hmm. Then the Riptide pinned a win. Fantastic stuff. I think this sort of speed bump for Rhea is really interesting because she was so dominant coming into WrestleMania and then losing the title like that. I think it's making her character a lot more interesting and then making the next title win a lot more satisfactory.
Agreed. Yeah. What they've done, again, people were like, oh, she's booked too strong. She never loses this and that. This is a great way to have her, not
kind of buff her down a little bit.
Honestly, right? Because then she can start getting hot and win all those matches again. Then it'll be that collision course that we're approaching.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of collision courses, we get Rusev's side of the story with a pre-tape. We're setting up for a true talls and smalls match next week. Rusev is on a crusade. He's trying to do what's best for you, fix you. You went and challenged me, you ungrateful little man. Rusev will embrace the challenge with open arms, and he will forgive your stupidity and forget your existence after he beats you.
Your ego might get you cheered, but your arrogance will get you slaughtered.
Brutal. Okay, so during this commercial break between the Rusev pre-tape and then the Judgment Day sketch.
Okay.
Again, I'm watching on a VPN. I'm watching the UK European stream.
Okay.
Right? During that 3-minute segment, the New Day came out onto the ramp. Yes. And so during the Netflix era, we've seen on Raw, specifically here in the US, we'll get the last 5 seconds of something.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, what's going on? Right? And we'll get something else going on. So here is an exclusive for the American audience. During the break, the New Day walk in on the ramp. Thank God for the New Day. Thank God for me, Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods shouts out his alma mater, Furman University. I'm still the best thing to come out of this city, Greenville, South Carolina. They want to fight for they start criticizing the tag team division. They say they want to defend their titles, but there isn't anybody good enough to fight them. LWO is useless without Rey Mysterio. A-Town Down is in disarray. Austin Theory is ready to kick off Waller's head. The Creed brothers have talent, and then they just kind of wash over that. They're trying to break up the War Raiders, talking about how Ivar is the star and not Eric. And then they close it off with thank God for the New Day. So this is what the American audience has been missing on Raw, is the international audience just gets a little bit more of the promos and stuff. They also get some more extended intros. And then the one thing that I noticed, especially during the Money in the Bank, the Rhea, Zoe, and Kairi Sane match, was they had a lot more drone footage in that commercial break that between Rhea coming in and the beginning of that match. So
let me ask you, what did they do during that time when they went to commercial after Zoe got hurt? Like for the American audience, we just went to a commercial and Zoe was totally gone. Were they just doing crowd shots and doing stuff to keep them off? I know they literally kind of stopped the match and brought the trainer in.
So they did bring the trainer in. I was skipping through it because I can't.
Totally makes. I just wasn't sure if there was anything what that actually looked like.
I have had a similar knee issue, without treatment for it, so things aren't great. There was a cut to commercial. They cut back. They were talking about how Zoe had a knee injury. They showed a little bit of the trainer taking her out, and then there was a shot of Zoe trying to walk on it, and then they were like, the director cut, and I was like, I don't even know why you're showing that, dude.
Yeah, at all.
And then they showed another commercial, and the European stream doesn't get commercials. They get "We'll be right back" in 6 languages with the stable of the roster going through and doing various poses and stuff.
Okay,
and So I think they got that, and it was, from what I was reading, it seems like Zoe Stark was supposed to take the pin and lose tonight, or lose last night. And then again, that's just something like where it's Cena and Orton or Cena and Batista rolling out at Rumble.
Stuff happens, live shows, stuff happens. You got to fix it on the fly.
Yeah, you really do. So, but yeah, no, I think they handled it pretty well, production wise. I mean, like it was a shoot injury, it was a legitimate injury. So, it's not something that you plan for. And again, like I think the one thing is just like cutting to her walking and just being like watching the trainer like lift her up. It's tough to watch. It's tough to watch.
So on to some funnier bits. We have another Judgment Day sketch backstage, right? It starts with all you can hear Dom say is, "Man, I can't wait for Liv to get back from Japan." Mm-hmm. And then Finn comes in with an introduction for everybody.
With a friend, Roxanne Perez. Finn proposes Roxanne to assist Liv and Raquel, help build out the Judgment Day, make sure that they have the numbers. You know, they have Carlito, they have Finn, they have JD, they have all these guys that can do shenanigans. They don't have that for the ladies.
Dom just keeps saying, he's like, I really think we need to talk to Liv here. Mm-hmm. Well, Roxanne's like, don't worry, I have some presents. Now, I think her first present already shows that she doesn't know what's up. Because she gave Dom
chicken nuggets.
Dom is not a chicken nuggets guy.
He's a chicken tender guy.
He's a chicken tender guy. Which I get. I'm way more tender over. So I'm just saying. And then she gives Carlito a bag, just a red bag, and he pulls out an apple, and he's like, "Oh, cool." And then Raquel immediately knocks it out of his hand, and Carlito goes right back into the bag and grabs another apple. Raquel basically says, like, I don't need an introduction. I already know who she is. I assume, I don't know for sure, that they had some beef in NXT back in the day.
Yeah.
Raquel's basically like, all right, you've given us your presents. You should go now.
Yeah. And Liv will hear about this. Finn just has the biggest shit-eating grin, the greatest. The main event for this evening, last night, Raw, Monday Night Raw, we've got Braun Breaker versus Jey Uso. Jey Uso, of course, in the concourse, running down the steps, hit my music, 4 letters, 1 word, yeet. How could you not love it? Breaker comes in with Heyman. There will be shenanigans. My move of the match was the pop-up Samoan drop. The one thing I will say here is, yes, there is some valid critique of Jey Uso. You can't say that after that match. There's not a lot. Because when Jey wants to turn it on, when Jey turns it on, it's on. That was an incredible match.
Yeah, my move of the match was, again, I'm going to do 2 here. So Braun catches Jey when he tries to do the self-harm dive and slams him off the announce table. Mm-hmm. And then Braun does that diving clothesline where he jumps off the apron, like, over the announce table.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jey didn't really want to take it. Jey kind of, like, rolled to the side and sat on the front of the announce table while Braun went all the way over the top.
Yeah, I did see that.
And then after that, it was right after the pop-up Samoan drop by Jey. Mm-hmm. There's some shenanigans on the top rope, right? We get a Breakensteiner. Right, against sort of like a super Hurricane Rana, and then he drops the straps.
You love it when he drops the straps.
Gotta love dropping the straps.
The other thing that I loved about this match was Paul throughout was just emoting incredibly and like really giving a lot of context to it. There's the point where he's got his mouth covered. There's the point where he's just like dripping in sweat and he's like tapping his head. Gosh. Like, again, I was so blown away by this match. Another spot that I really loved was Breaker setting up for that spear that he does at breakneck speed. But, of course, he eats a super kick, and Breaker kicks out of the pin. There's the point where, again, like Breaker and Jey are in focus, and then Heyman's out of focus, and then it switches them in focus, out of focus again. Just like, again, the camera stuff where they're framing it and they've got either Jey or Breaker in the foreground and then Paul in the background like that. Again, like this incredible storytelling just with the visual stuff. There's so much that they do in terms of like the physical action of it. And we do talk about it a lot because I'm a nerd like this. Yeah. But again, I just think that's something fantastic that they did.
And with how it's going to go, we are going to get even, some real shenanigans at the end. There's a point where Heyman distracts the ref. Braun goes to grab a steel chair and ends up just dropping it when Jey hits him. Jey then... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the ref sees the chair, kicks it out of the ring. Heyman grabs Jay as he sets up. Rod Zabata, the referee, does not see this. Jay finally decides he's going to give Paul a taste of his own medicine. At this point,
so hold on, I gotta talk about this because he's like, Jay is just like walking up to Paul, and Paul's actually Paul's usually the cowering, oh no, I'm just a birthday guy, right? But like he was like taking his jacket off, he was walking, he's like, and literally in my mind, and I even wrote in my notes, I was like, here comes the train. I thought it was gonna be a thing where Heyman would sidestep and Jay would have gotten hit with one of those like running around the ring spears. But no, Seth just jumps his ass.
No, exactly. Seth just jumps in here from behind. The match ends on a disqualification there. But Seth rips off his jean jacket. Rollins and Jay in the middle. Breaker slams into both of them. Oh, let's go.
Now, I can't believe it because Sammy comes out and he's actually done the smartest thing I've ever seen in the ring. Both Seth and Braun Breaker are staring at him, and Sammy's like by himself on the apron. He's kind of like, I'm not really trying to go in here and get my ass beat 2-on-1.
Yes, a very smart move by Sami Zayn because the crowd starts chanting, CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk. After 4 CM Punk chants, we get the riff. Look in my eyes. The sound guys drop it because we're immediately going into action. Shout out to the crowd.
They kept
it singing.
Awesome.
That was so good. Punk runs in. It's clobbering times, folks. We get a preview of Saturday night. We get Punk and Zayn, Breaker and Seth. It's just a brouhaha.
Yeah, throwing hands all around the place. They fight into the crowd. I put fight to the crowd, fade to credits.
Yeah, they roll the credits. They're still fighting. Jay gets his title back. Bookends it with Logan Paul
knocking Jay out for, I believe they said, the 4th time in this story.
Yeah, and then he does that teeth lick. Logan, please don't do that again. Thank you. But yeah, a fantastic Raw. Some really good matches here. And again, like, I feel like a good balance of matches, action and matches, and then outside of the ring storytelling stuff to set up for this PLE, which I feel like we just had Backlash. Literally, I feel like 10 days ago. And then we're going to be running into Saturday night's main event this weekend. So yeah, we're going to preview that here in a moment at the end of our show here on The C Show. Welcome back to the C Show. We're here talking about Saturday night's main event. And we'll be in Tampa, right?
I believe they said Tampa, yeah.
Yes, we'll be in Tampa. So 4 matches so far on the card. The first one is Jey Uso versus Logan Paul, a singles match for the World Heavyweight Champion.
4 letters.
1 word. Yeet. Moving on. We've got a tag team match, CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. I don't think we're going to get a clean finish here, so I'm not going to say we're going to have one tag team win over the other. I do think this is going to be a great match. Obviously, there's the storyline between CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and then Breaker being the heavy here, and Sammy sort of just like he wants to defend his friend. So
yeah, I think they're just going to beat the hell out of each other. They're all incredible workers. We're definitely going to get a great match. Just one I'm excited for. Again, I expect some kind of, shenanigans, between, Paul Heyman and whoever else. I have to assume there's going to be more people who are still bringing into the fold here. Maybe this is the next big reveal of who the next guy is.
I feel like that's what it's been building up to, whether that's Logan, whether that's Gunther. Like, who is that 4th guy? Or is it a woman?
Paul Heyman girl.
Paul Heyman, yeah, girl. Sure, we'll see. Moving on, we've got John Cena versus R-Truth in a singles match. This isn't for a title currently. This isn't for the undisputed title.
Oh, it's not.
It's not. At least that's not what Wikipedia says.
Oh, okay. I thought it was. So. I thought it was for the title. Like either way, like you already know who's winning.
Yeah.
It's just going to be what's the story that they're able to tell along the way, right? How is R-Truth kind of going to get his? What are they going to pull on that he's done before? Especially with all the history, quote unquote, between him and Cena, no matter how much of it is made up in R-Truth's mind and how much is real. Because again, they have done a lot of stuff together before. I've mentioned before on the pod that while Cena was kind of away, like he kind of gave R-Truth, right, his 5 moves of doom. He was doing the 5 knuckle shuffle. So there's definitely a lot here to play with. I'm actually very excited for this.
Cool. Yeah, no, this is going to be a fun one, I think. R-Truth, you were mentioning it earlier, I think off mic, but R-Truth doing a lot of the comedy wrestling, I think, especially with what John has been doing recently in the world of Hollywood, I think it'll play well. So
no, absolutely.
I think it'll be great. So the final match that we've got right now on the card is Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a steel cage match. I think this is just going to be great. We've got 2 guys who have been beefing for over a year now. I think the steel cage match is really the culmination of it. I mean, I'm not sure how much more dramatic, like how much further you can raise the stakes without doing something that is very dangerous.
Absolutely. I knew there'd have to be some kind of even more stipulation. Like, yes, it was the Sin City street fight, and like the steel cage match to end a feud, to blow it off, as it is classic wrestling, especially Southern wrestling. That's what used to always be. Guys run a program forever, and it's like, all right, this getting settled in a steel cage, right? Someone's going to bleed. And that was just how it was for the longest time, even to the point they kind of overdid it. Yeah. But now I think they're doing a really good job kind of bringing it back. Like, if Drew hadn't had such a great Hell in a Cell match with CM Punk, I bet they would have done another Hell in a Cell. But I just don't think that Priest and Drew would be able to give the same kind of show that Punk and Drew did. Not saying that Priest isn't good. Like, Punk is just, like, there's a reason, like, people talk about him the way they do.
They're different tiers.
Like, they are.
Different tiers.
And again, Damian is still relatively young. He's only had 1 world title reign. Like, there's still plenty left for Damian to go. I'm not saying in a couple years that, they couldn't be, in that same tier or leak into that tier. Yeah. But, you can't follow up the Hell in a Cell match from Bad Blood between Punk and Drew with just another Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, I don't know why I immediately drew to a baseball reference, but I'm thinking, like, it's the difference between, like, Mike Trout and a guy who hits 200,
I don't know if it's that big. I don't think it's Mike Trout and Mendoza line guy.
Okay, all right.
Like, I don't know. Again, Priest has been a world champion. Like I'd say more it's like, Mike Trout or like Otani versus like someone that's like an all-star every year, right?
Gotcha.
Like,
okay.
you're not first team, you're not winning gold, but like you're an all-star, you constantly produce. When you need to be the guy, you can be the guy. But you're not a cornerstone per se.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, this is going to be another, the Saturday night's main event. It's because SNL is over for the season, and NBC needs to fill something during this time slot. So the WWE historically has filled that job. I believe we should get Jesse Ventura on the comm team.
Hell yeah!
Which is going to be the best part of it.
Hell
yeah, a future story time focus. Jesse Ventura, the hits and misses of the Governator. But yeah, that's it for the C Show this week. Again, I'm Charlie.
I'm Connor.
And if you've made it to this part of the show, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, rate, review, subscribe. If you haven't, please go back, listen to Storytime, The Twin Tragedies of Vern Gagne. We're really excited about the future stories we've got there. And we'll be back next week on The C Show. Of course you like The C Show. Make sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share our podcast with your friends. Make sure to follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Blue Sky, Facebook, and YouTube at CShowPod. You have questions for the boys? Send us an email, cshowpod@gmail.com. Thanks to our friends, Amir and Patrick, for their assistance. The C Show is a production of 832 Media. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll be back next week.
Use my chunkiest cut.